This is gonna be interesting. I'm in kind of a contemplative mood.
What do you mean?
I don't know, because we've been listening to too much Kurt Weill. So I'm all kind of dreamy. All kind of dreamy. I don't even remember the name of that song.
I don't know.
It's the one where he's dreaming about whales in his bowl of cereal.
I don't know.
With the giant gorilla at the center of the universe.
I don't listen to what he's saying. It's too
No,
high.
it's the video.
What, Pretty Pimpin'?
No, not Pretty Pimping.
Back ass word?
No, but though he was definitely relaxed when he made that thing. Want a life, want a life, want a life like mine. And the point being is the gentleman was extremely relaxed, and now I have that song in my head, and that mood of relaxation is running through me, so I'm feeling kind of unfocused, blurry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look at his new shirt.
Oh yeah, look, Sadie bought me, because it was my birthday. So Sadie bought me this t-shirt. She found it herself on Amazon. Can you believe it? Look at that. It's the MG. Isn't that cool?
Sadie's been fighting with her brother a lot today.
And he's discovered he can go in her room and steal things.
Steal her action figures. And he broke one from Portal.
And there are pet peeves, and then there are nuclear pet peeves. And Sadie's nuclear pet peeve is one of her siblings going into her room.
Yes.
So anyway, let's see what else is going on. So it was my birthday this last week, which was fun. Let's talk about. I guess let's do wrist check.
Okay.
Because then I can talk about this watch that I got. Wrist check, mighty wrist check, gonna wrist check. Oh my goodness, now gonna wrist check now.
Everybody's going to be surprised.
Yay, you're wearing the Orient.
Yep.
Cool. I'm so happy. I have, this week my birthday happened, and I got myself this. It came from Canada. This is the watch I was waiting for forever. It's a really cool Rodania from about 1970, solid stainless steel with a rotating ring. And it's interesting, Landeron 248, but the movement on this is, you may not know, or you could have the same version of a movement and it'll have different levels of finishing depending on what company has it. And this has a much higher level of finishing than any other Landeron I've seen. They really did a nice job on this watch. And so I've been wearing this all this week. But then I had to move all of my watches around, and I was looking at watches I don't wear very often. And I put this on. Slide rule. And I was looking at this and I was remembering what it was like when I was first aware of these and how hard they were to find and how cool they were. And I was like, I really ought to wear it. It's such a cool watch. So I'm wearing my slide rule. Beautiful old piece. Beautiful old piece with a genuine new old stock ring on it that Jonathan Koch had. That's nice. That's a nice watch. Cool. Okay. Anyway, so it's cool, and it's amazing to me looking at the Omega Speedmaster and this movement is that how similar they are. I mean, except for the fact that this doesn't have a third register, they do the same things in the same way. The Omega is a little nicer finishing, but anyway, the other thing was worked with a viewer and did a partial trade for 2 new T-shirts. These came from the UK. And they're still in the plastic.
Mommy. I'll be right back.
Any case, I got one of each, the white one and the black one. But let's open it up and let's look at them. So let's look at this. Look at this. Isn't that cool? Look at that, it's a day wheel. That's pretty awesome. So I got one in white and black. So it's the Kanji English day wheel and date. So it looks like, well, if we're going to assume a 3 o'clock crown, it is Friday the 1st. No, I'm sorry, Monday the 1st. First day of the month and a Monday? What were they thinking? It should be Friday the 14th. Because if it's Friday the 14th, then it's the opposite of bad luck, and it's Friday, end of the work week. I still like it, though. I'll be happy to wear it. First of the month. What?
He got into an argument with the dog.
He did? Who won?
I think I don't know.
Oh, I meant to say, and the shirts are made. It's horology. What is that?
Series.
Horology series. Be kind to your print. This garment has been printed using a non-toxic water-based ink process. To ensure you get the best from your print, please take note of the wash care instructions. Don't tumble dry. Don't iron. Print. But here's the thing I thought was interesting is that the date is reading at 3, but it's Monday the 1st. So the start of the week and the start of the month.
Wow.
It's not a relaxing shirt, but it does look very nice.
Not a relaxing shirt.
Monday the 1st, first day of the month,
So
first
what?
day of the week.
So what?
Everything starts.
Everything's always happening.
Anyway, super cool. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I would be wearing that right now, but I'm so proud of this shirt.
Anyway, so you know how he has his Target box?
Yes.
That has a truck on, a delivery truck?
Yes.
The dog tried to eat it.
Oh.
And he got into a fight with the dog, and the dog nipped him.
He's so crazy for things with wheels that a box that has wheels printed on it is treasure.
Yes.
Okay, well before we really get going, there were a lot of statements and questions and things about the MG, so much so that we're gonna break this, and I'm actually gonna make a complete separate video just answering the MG questions with the MG, and I'm gonna put that on the MG playlist.
Makes sense to me.
Well, it's your idea.
I know. Okay, so now we're starting.
Yes.
247 ADT. Pink Floyd, Shine On You Crazy Diamond. The 4 magic notes of David Gilmour. Good choice indeed.
There's not much else to say. It's there are amazing moments that happen when you're at a formative stage in one's life, and you associate certain things with that, and that's what I do.
Okay.
Long time ago. Do you even remember the first time you heard Shine On You Crazy Diamond?
I would have heard it on the radio. It was always a
I've
fact of life.
When did they stop playing Pink Floyd on the radio?
Never.
Do they still play Pink Floyd on the radio?
Yes, on the Dino Rock station.
Last time I listened to the Dino Rock station, they were playing whatever Eddie Vedder's band is.
Van Halen.
No, Eddie Vedder.
Oh, it's Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Yes.
That's Dino Rock now.
Yes. Well, no, they played Comfortably Numb all the time.
Well, back in the day, sure.
No, they play it now all the time.
They do?
Yes.
What's the Dino Rock station?
99.5.
99.5. Not KBPI, Rock the Rockies.
No.
That used to be the Sirius Dino Rock station.
No, it's 99.5 The Mountain.
The Mountain.
Anyway, from Patrick, what was the noise? I don't know.
We don't know. Something horrible got dropped. We have no
I
idea.
don't know. I didn't rewatch the video.
No, we were sitting here and there was this huge thump from upstairs.
That was the other one when it was Willow's water bottle.
Oh, was it?
Then I don't know. We don't pay attention.
After a while.
As long as no one's dying or have broken bones, I don't care. From Mishka. I have a Seiko 7002, had it 30 plus years since I was in the service. Runs like a top. It's taken a beating, but is a beast. 100% original. Have gone through several bands. I finally serviced it a couple of months ago just because. Love it. Had an original turtle, even older, but lost it water skiing years ago.
That's too bad. And if the seals are holding up, that thing is still at the bottom of the lake or reservoir or wherever you were. Yeah, 7002s are great. A gentleman who watches the channel wrote me recently a message on Instagram, and he said, hey, I'm looking to mod these watches. What do you think? And he had 2 original 7002 first gen models, completely original, very nice. And I was like, oh man, don't mod those. Those are really nice. And he's like, okay. But I chatted with him for a little bit, and I was thinking about them. And I was like, it used to be that you could find 7002s like that. We're talking like, they're nice condition, not perfect, but with some wear, very wearable. And used to be able to find them, and people would mod the hell out of them. And it's getting real hard not real hard, it's definitely getting harder to find those 7002s. And they deserve to be found. They're great watches. They will run and run and run and run and run. I mean, aside from the plastic dial ring and the movement ring, they're fantastic. Just fantastic. I love them.
Okay. Julie Hill. Roman pottery, awesome. By coincidence, my dad is seriously into Roman history. His house is full to the brim with artifacts. As a family, we have spent many years going on holiday vacation to various regions in France. One year, we stayed near the Pont de Garde. I have no idea how to pronounce that because I didn't take French.
Avignon.
South of France, which is an ancient Roman aqueduct built in the 1st century. It is incredibly well preserved, and the really cool thing is that you can actually set up camp or picnic and swim in the River Gardon and around it, a beautiful region of France and rich in history.
Yeah, it's one of those things. France is I haven't spent a lot of time in France. I've been through a couple of times, but we drove from, my brother lives in Paris, and so, but then we went right about this time of year, really. I think a little bit earlier, like in mid-May, late May. But anyway, we drove down through the Loire Valley, and then we went up to Normandy, and it's just amazing. France is a garden. It's just beautiful. Avignon, always interesting. That's where the anti-pope was when you had the split, and there were 2 popes for a while.
Mm-hmm.
One was in Rome, the other was in Avignon. Oh. And then the one in Rome won, and the people in Avignon had some problems.
Okay. Mauro Gomez. Hi, Sabrina and Spencer. I have a stupid question. It's not stupid.
No such thing.
How many shakes or time shaking a 7S26 to get the full wound? Also, I'm asking myself if it's worth it to put a NH36 in my SKX007. I like to be able to have manual charge, but I like to keep the authenticity of all my watches. What will you do in that case?
Well, swap the movement out. Why not? I really, 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 really prefer having hand winding and hacking. I really, really prefer it. And everything else drops in with the exception of the crown and the stem. So I certainly get it. Do the switch, and what you do is you take the original movement and you get a beautiful little plastic movement storage case, and that will come with the brand new NH36 movement. You put the original 7S movement in there, label it that it goes to that watch, and then you could always easily reverse it. As for how many things it takes to wind one, I don't know. I mean, back when I used to wear automatic onlys more regularly, it was probably, I would get up in the morning and I would grab 6009 or whatever, 6309 or whatever, and I would do this for, I don't know, a minute and a half, 2 minutes while I'm like looking at my phone and just winding the watch, and that's enough. That's enough to get it going. As long as you're not completely sedentary, if you move during the day, Seiko's automatic winding mechanisms are extremely efficient because they use the magic lever, the pawl lever. They wind in both directions. Even the slightest amount of movement will wind. So, I don't know. Enough to get it rolling and then go about your day.
Okay, this next comment, I don't know what is happening in it.
You don't? Where? Which one?
This one.
Oh, well, remember I was talking about Dad and the Reds coming over the hill and the communists? Yeah. There's this gentleman, Dale Taylor, in the movie Red Dawn.
Oh God, I saw that once forever ago.
Right, Red Dawn, but they had these like coded phrases on the radio because they were signaling to each other, and they were going to be. Why would the Russians come to Colorado?
I don't know.
Oh wait, because of the hot springs.
When we were at the hot springs, there were so
in
many,
Glenwood Springs.
There were so many actual Russians, not Russian
so
Americans.
Many
Russians. They were everywhere.
It was crazy. I was like, where did these... Because I haven't been up there since the 80s, but of course, it's still the 80s, but yet there's all these Russians. Where'd the Russians come from? I don't understand it. We thought they were going to come with, in green uniforms with red stars in their cap and machine guns. Instead, they came with suitcases.
And cigarettes.
Lots of cigarettes. But anyway, so he said, the chair's against the wall. John has a long mustache. Now, he didn't qualify this. But of course, the response is, molasses tomorrow will bring forth cognac, wound my heart with monotonous languor.
Now I get it.
Red Dawn.
I've been reading it, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening here.
It's like in D-Day, the challenge when you get thunder and the answer is flash.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
Now I do.
That was the challenge.
And now I forgot.
You say thunder. I say thunder, you say flash. That's
Okay.
the challenge. If you're trooping around in the middle of the night in Normandy with explosions and things going off and you run into somebody in a hedgerow where it's pitch black out. You remember David Sedaris, he lived in Normandy and he talked about when he was worried about armies of the dead. And remember that? And he was looking at it and he's like, in Normandy, it's pitch black there because they don't have streetlights.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so you run into a patrol going the other way. You got to have the challenge to make sure you know what's going on.
You're silly.
No, I'm not.
Michael Sands. Hey Spencer, I listened with interest to your answer regarding mainspring winders and was wondering if you could show a picture of the set you use. I was not aware that L&R made watch tools beyond cleaning machines and related items. Did you by any chance mean K and D winders? Anyway, I'd love to see what you actually use either way. Thanks again.
Sure, let's break and I'll actually show you the stuff I have.
Okay, yes, Michael, you're correct. I always get things mixed around in my head. K and D, not L and R. You can see it right there. K and D. And these are sets that you can get. They come in little boxes, little things like this. And you can get different sizes. Different things. This is for a completely different, like, pocket watch winder thing. It goes with a different set that I have that's buried. This is pretty much, for everything I do, this is almost the one that I use almost exclusively. This one. Because this side is perfect for Seiko, and for other like chronographs and Swiss stuff, this side is perfect. And these work very, very well. You get the central coil of the mainspring on here, and then you put it on here, and you wind it in until it gets all the way where you need it to be. Then you can turn it the other way to get it off the middle piece, and then you just drop it in, and there it goes. It works very well. I do also have these. This is a Watchcraft, which is C.E. Marshall. And if these weren't so worn, then these would actually be great. But the problem is that the pin on these, the pin to hold the inner part of the mainspring, there's supposed to be a pin here. It's terribly worn and they don't hold. But if these were in brand new condition, they'd be great. And what's nice about this set is it's all nicely contained. And that's what I use. But anyway, this is the one. I don't even bother bringing this other stuff out. It's all packed away. This is the only one I use. This baby. And what's great is that, too, it's variable. You can adjust the width of the jaws there for different size mainsprings and barrels and stuff like that. They're just good. So K and D. K and D. K and D. There you go.
So yes, you're right.
That's nice.
I'm always perfectly happy to admit fault.
Good.
I know I'm never right. Think how annoying it is when you're talking to somebody who firmly believes they're always right, especially when they're wrong.
Well, I know a person just like that.
So do I. Well, I don't know that person.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh,
that
you're talking
person.
about, yes, that
His
person.
brother-in-law, not mine. From Sawbrook, I guess they would not advertise the day wheel as for a 6R15 as that is a date-only movement, and listing it as appropriate for movement swaps into the 7S26 4R36 watches could be a liability.
Well, maybe. Saul, the only difference in the calendar, the only difference between the 4R, 35 and the 6R15, obviously date. So, but the 6R15, all it's missing is the day wheel and that white intermediate quick set. That's it. You swap that on there and off you go. I don't know. I guess they wouldn't expect people to, because the 6R15s don't come with that. So you would need to know to swap that white plastic quick set wheel. I don't know. It's one of these things where I'm like, oh, that's what you just You just swap the wheel over. Most people wouldn't know that.
Nope. Next part. I realized today that we are 2.5 months away from Mail Call 100. I can't believe that. As YouTubers, I think you are obligated to do something special to commemorate the milestone. I have 2 suggestions. Option 1, Spencer does the Truffle Shuffle from the Goonies. Have you even seen the Goonies?
I have. I always felt so bad because I was the fat kid at that age too. And that poor kid, he lost a ton of weight. He hasn't been fat since then.
Option 2, turn the camera 90 degrees and give us 60 seconds of what's outside Spencer's window. It's not interesting. It's cars driving by and maybe Kraken saying hello.
2 pickup trucks just went contractors. Looked like they had a big ass generator. Looks like they're going to do some work back there. I wonder if they're working on his deck.
Whose deck?
Blake's.
Oh, I thought they were done.
I haven't looked in their backyard. I try to respect their privacy, so I don't know what's going on back there.
Well, I don't look, but they just had a party very loudly playing Dino Rock. Don't you remember?
No.
I told you that.
Oh, look, now they're leaving. They must have taken their. Oh, look, it's a lawn care thing. Look, they've got racks and everything with their reed wrappers. They must have had the wrong address. They're going somewhere else. Saul, there's really not anything exciting to look at out there. There's Kraken's Meadow, which is like a little island thing in the middle of the lawn. It has that I don't mow. It's got rocks around it. It's got long grass. Kraken likes going out there, and she hangs out and pretends she's a leopard or a tiger or a panther.
A panther.
Panther. And it's just a.
It's
We're
just a
very,
front yard.
very boring people, and it doesn't take very much at all to entertain us. You wouldn't be excited at all.
There's Blake.
Oh, he's come. Oh, he got a new tire for his truck. Good. I was worried about that, dude. He didn't have a spare.
How do you not have a spare?
I don't know. He had to leave his truck jacked up with a wheel off of it. Why do you not have a spare?
I don't know.
I don't get it. Anyway, I will not be doing the truffle shuffle. That will not happen. And I can show you 60 seconds of the front yard, but it is excruciatingly boring.
I don't know. We'll think about something to do. I know I said when we get 10,000 subscribers, and we're getting there, I'll buy a bundt cake. I said that like a year ago. With what?
Oh yeah, and I remember someone was like, "You're 5,000 subscribers. What are you gonna do when you hit 10?" And I'm like, "We're not gonna hit 10,000
We're
subscribers."
getting there slowly but surely. But if I can't go get a bundt cake, I'll be sad. I don't know if they're open. Maybe. Well, since it's going slowly, maybe by the time we get to 10,000, every horrible thing will be over with, and I can go get a bundt cake.
That'd be cool. I hope
Or I can get a milkshake.
that too.
My milkshake brings up.
That's a your generation.
I know. I'm just singing it at you.
My generation is It's Raining Men.
Hallelujah. I taught Sadie to say that.
Really?
Yes.
When I lived in San Francisco, and I would go and hang out with my friend Paul down at the bar, the Badlands, at the corner of Castro and 18th, because we worked together and we were friends, and he was a DJ there, and so we'd go down in the afternoon and like on a Friday or whatever and do day drinking back when I was a drinker, and they would put on that song and everybody would dance and laugh.
Okay, Rick, I use the same cheap $120 time grapher. I'm just an amateur, but I don't see what would need to be improved on it. I work in IT, and over the years I've had clashes with old-timer IBM mainframe diehards about how the new, cheaper technology is better only to be proven right eventually every time. So frustrating.
Yeah, the higher end time graphers, the really nice new ones that you get, they're not the old school ones with the paper tape. They have a readout like that. They have, and I'm talking to myself more than you. They do have other features. It's like we were talking about. It's like you can use a lesser quality tool and still do quality work, but you have to, as one of our people there said here, it takes a lot more work to get it done right. Like you can cut the lawn with a pair of scissors. They used to back in England in the 1700s. They really did shears, or you can use a lawnmower. Both things will do the job. One makes it a lot easier. Apparently, the new super cool high-end electronic time graphers do all kinds of things. They can listen. They will tell you about where problems are. They can listen very clearly and say, hey, this palette stone is engaging incorrectly, or it's the wrong depth, because you can change the pallet stones, you can move them in and out to where they're engaging and disengaging, so that you don't have too much face interacting with the teeth, which increases friction, and it gives you more information. Someday, I might own a nicer time grapher, and we'll see. But so far, I'm doing okay. Hey, what is that, exercise equipment? No, it's a bicycle.
Well, that's exercise equipment.
I guess so.
Rhino watches. Hello, Spencer. I'm still waiting to get on your list for you to service my vintage UFO. It's just sitting, rotting away. Hopefully you can get me on your list. I've been trying since last year.
I feel badly, you and many other people. If I had vision, if I was ambitious, and if I was focused on success, we would have taken a bank loan and we would have built the outbuilding, and I would have hired a couple watchmakers. We could have paid them.
Well, that didn't happen, and it's on you.
I know. I think about it, and I'm like, I don't want to be somebody's boss, and I don't want to get into hiring and firing.
I don't want to have to figure out paychecks.
Yeah, paychecks and W-2s and all this other kind of stuff, and it's like, I think about it like the whole thing. I mean, it just seems like a natural function, right? The next thing is, all this work is here, and you guys are still asking to send your work. Despite the slowdown, COVID-19 societal collapse, people are the amount of people asking to send work in hasn't changed. It's still the same. If I had a bunch of watchmakers and a place with tools and everything else like that, an outbuilding, I could triple, quadruple my output. I'd have to be a supervisor, though. I'd have to do counseling statements. I'd have to write people up. I'd have to worry about time clocks and all that other bullshit. The only reason I'd sincerely consider doing it is just because I feel badly saying no to anybody. I don't like doing it. The money I don't care about. I mean, granted, we could pull in a lot of extra money, but it just seems like it's a lot of work. I just don't want to be anybody's boss ever again. I don't want to have a boss. I don't want to be a boss. So, unfortunately, what that means is that I'm still backed up a lot. And when I do open the doors, I'm not going to be able to take every job. I just can't. And I don't have a wait list. I simply don't. There are too many. We get inquiries every day. So, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that a lot of the people that are watching these videos, there are a few people who watch these videos that are really getting serious about honing their own craft, and that maybe there will be more people out there that can take these jobs and that I can push work off to, and that they can create their own following and do their own thing. I'm all about you guys empowering yourselves. I don't want to have to be I don't think that I am any kind of not that I don't think I'm a legitimate authority. I'm not the only voice. I'm not the only person. I'm not always right. So there's other options. There should be other options out there, and I think in the coming years, I think those are going to produce fruit, and people are going to have more options. That's what I hope anyway.
Okay. Are you deep in thought?
I was looking at another lawn care guy was
How
driving
do
by.
you stop? You're like teasing people.
What do they care about lawn care people?
I don't know.
All right, well, let's move on.
Forbin Colossus. I think it's hilarious. You live in a house with many rooms, but all the cats and kids seem to congregate in that one room exactly when you're filming. They're always everywhere where we are. We have many rooms in our house. They have bedrooms, and they're always right next to us.
Yeah. I don't know, it blows my mind.
As for the cats, they just sleep here.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so when you guys were little, did you spend a lot of time around your parent or parents? Did you spend time with them? You see, me growing up, I stayed as far away from my parents as absolutely possible. Unless they forced us to come upstairs for dinner, we were in our rooms by choice. So this is still kind of weird to me.
I just watched TV. I was a TV addict. I was happy. They put it, because I kept watching the TV, and my mom got annoyed because she wanted to watch TV, that they put one in my room with a cable box, so I would leave them alone.
What are you going to do? I mean, I'm glad having kids around, but I just think it's weird. We're such boring people. I don't know why they like being around us.
I don't know. Joshua Garcia. I have this watch. Unfortunately, the seconds hand keeps on falling off. When the seconds hand is on, the watch stops working. Do you know what it might be?
It sounds like there's something seriously wrong with the hand tube itself, but more likely is if you're taking the hand and you're putting it on and you're taking it off. It could also be because when you're setting a he's asking about a 6139. I'm sorry, a chronograph. When you're setting the sweep hands on those, you've got to be using the right movement holder. The right movement holder has a little peg underneath it, and it supports the jewel underneath on the bottom of the chronograph wheel. If you don't support that jewel and you set that hand on, it's super easy. You'll either bend the chronograph bridge or crack the jewel or push it out of place. Or if you really lean on it, you'll damage your chronograph wheel, and then you've got real problems. So I would need to know more about what you're talking about, but that's always like the danger zone. Anything having to do with that sweep hand and that chronograph wheel, that can be yikes. So I mean, I without seeing it, I can't tell you. But I can tell you it could be something quite serious. But without knowing more, I'm just bloviating.
Inabit 19. Hi Spencer, at 3750 was that watch with the problem day wheel my 8306 1000.
Yes, it was.
Sounds like the same problem. The watch is still working fine.
Good. Well, I mean, once I realized what the actual problem was with that watch, then I could fix it. But I mean, that's the thing is I had to pull my vision back and look at different problems and try different things to cause the failure to occur. Once I was able to do that and I could see where the issue actually was, then I could fix it. I'm extremely glad to know that it's still working. That watch. Woo!
Joseph Pyburn. I like the 061, but my SBDC 033 or Sumo Blumo is a better watch. Has the same 6R15 movement, a much nicer case, and about $300 less expensive.
I like the Sumos. I like the way they look. I wish they're just ever so slightly too big. That and the 12th marker.
I know. Julie Hill. Oh man, the Benris, what an icon.
Yeah, it's a beautiful watch. I've been moving my watches around recently because I've been trying to give her space in the watch box, and I've been looking at watches I haven't been wearing a whole lot of, and that's one of the reasons why I'm wearing this slide rule. Is these watches are coming out and I'm looking at them again. The Benris is beautiful. It's a beautiful watch. Thank you, Julie.
Nielsen Gupta. Hi SNS, great show as always. Yes, bracelets are always a problem to find. I have been waiting for Uncle Seiko UK to restock the tapered H-link for what seems like a millennia. My question for next mail call is, what is, in your opinion, the bestest, most well-built, and most engineered movement ever made by Seiko, and why? Thank you for answering all of my questions.
I can only give my opinion, and other people will have other opinions, but let's break and I'll tell you about that.
Okay, so it's an interesting question with a lot of variables, and I've been going back and forth. Initially, my first reaction was to think, well, the 6200 series, specifically the 6218 and the 6216. I mean, the movements inside these watches are, especially the 62. I mean, they're 39 joules in a lot of ways. Honestly, this era and type of Seiko movement is superior to what Rolex was putting out at the time. I'm not joking. They're fully jeweled, upper and lower mainspring arbors. They've got diafix, diashock. They have hacking levers. If these had hand winding, they'd be one of the greatest movements ever made. Where it sort of falls down is they're sort of rare, they're expensive, they're hard to get a hold of. Also, they don't have a ton of versatility. There was a 6200 meter, the first basically the 6217s and stuff like that. The early World Times, the first 300-meter divers, they used this kind of movement, but like this didn't. Once the first part of the '60s was over, this movement kind of went by the wayside. It is a great movement, though. It's great. One of these days, I have to rebuild this gosh darn thing. I just wish the dial was in silver. I wish it was any other color. But, so I was thinking about that. All right, so this is a great movement. It's beautiful. It's fully jeweled. All the bells and whistles. This is a lifetime watch. Literally, this is a lifetime watch. They're amazing. But they're rare. They're hard to find. Spare parts of them are tough to come by. And they were really only in a few, they were really mostly in dress models. So I was thinking, well, okay, what about, a real good candidate, actually, a very good candidate, is the 7000 series movements. This is a 7S26A, first gen SKX 011J. I grabbed this one because this is the one that was at the top of the box. It's a great movement, but again, it has its issues. There's ubiquitous. They made 1 billion of them, but they get lower mainspring arbor port wear and some other stuff. But you can find tons of parts for them, and they were in everything. They were dress watches, divers, everything you can possibly imagine. Seiko's been putting these in, and they've been making versions of this movement from the 1960s all the way to the present day. The more recent ones, the C series and up, obviously they've fallen down, and the quality's not quite as great. They really are amazing movements. But I have to say, there's an argument to be made for the 8L movement. These things are great. I sincerely like these. And they're more or less a derivation of the 7S. In servicing these, the lineage, it's not that different. It has different wheels, of course, and it's more finely built. But the price point is expensive, So, you could go back and forth and say whether or not this is... Like, if I had an 8L movement, could I put it in an SKX? Wouldn't that be interesting to find out? But still, it's expensive and hard to get a hold of. And then I realized that for me, versatility, power, everything else like that, I'm going to have to go with the 754X. 754X movement. The only instance I can think of where instead of the 7000 series, where Seiko started at the bottom with the 7005 and then hot rodded the movement, did all kinds of different stuff and gave us all kinds of different things, the 754X, they started at the top. They designed the movement specifically for their line of professional divers. This and the Golden Tuna. So this is a 7549 7010. It was specifically designed for these high-end professional watches because Seiko wanted to capture that market. High torque movement for these big hands. And they went to the wall. They went to the wall for this. I went back and forth about this and the 7A chronographs, but this movement has more general versatility. So they started at the top. This and the Golden. I'd show you the Golden, but it's not here right now. But this is one of the greatest watches at all. There's a longtime forum guy, one of the old school dudes. His screen name is Harry Denmark, and he had Harry as in Harold, Harry Denmark, and he stated once that if he lost all of his watches were gone except for his 7549 7010, he would still feel like a true watch collector, like a real watch aficionado, if he only had this watch left. So Seiko started at the top, best of the best of the best. And then they propagated this movement down, 7549, 7548. Then they have, where did that bag go? You hum a little tune. I will be right, aha. 7548. Then they have mid-range sport divers, 7546. This one's a little beat up, but it is beautiful. They even made these in this like crazy beautiful silver white. 7546. And then of course you have your That's also 7546. And they make even one. They make 7545 dial date only. I mean, I can reach. So what this means, you have these watches. Oh, and they also made this. It's 7559. It's the same movement family. This was a quartz watch, and it actually had, if this had a battery, it lights up so you can see the time. It has a little light bulb in it. So I can reach into my drawers and I can get a $1,000 watch, $1,500 watch, or in the case of a golden, you're getting some real money now. They're worth a lot of money. Or I can go on eBay and I can, for a few, I don't know, $20, price of dinner out, you can get a 7546, which has a movement that is the same as one of the highest quality pieces Seiko ever made. It has one less jewel, but everything else is the same. It's all metal construction, it's jeweled, and most critically, it has a variable trimmer. You can dial these things into a few thousandths of a second per day, and they'll run and run and run and run. They're absolutely fantastic movements, and these movements are very versatile. I don't know. They're just, I'm a huge fan of these. So my take on it is the 754X quartz movement in terms of reliability, durability, all that stuff. Some people are going to say, well, hey, what about like 6105 movement? 6105 movement it's sort of a, believe it or not, it's sort of like a bare bones basic 17 jewel movement. Seiko, and they have parts, for certain parts, extremely hard to come by. They have design flaws that Seiko could have fixed but didn't. Lower mainspring arbor port is a real big issue, so they have to be fixed. And even then, they tend to run at kind of lower amplitude than other things. I don't know. For me, all things being equal, 754X. That's me.
And that's, again, that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion, but
The little sound of mommy.
okay. But that, anyway, that was my thing. Next one, Spencer Braithwaite. I wish I could have my Halbros silver plated. The chrome plating is almost gone and the base metal looks awful. I'll break again and I'll just show you the stuff I used to silver plate. We'll go from there.
Okay, so for silver plating, the stuff I use is this. And again, I just fiddle around with this for myself. Silver plating solution, pure silver, and you just rub it on, and then the silver, the silver that is in solution deposits itself right onto base metal, and it's permanent. It's a molecular bond, and so I mean the only issue is with using this stuff is that it's just like doing a paint job on a car, or painting on a wall. The vast majority of the work comes before you put the paint on. So, like this, you can see all the scratches and everything underneath it. But if I had, this was just an experiment. But if I had taken the time to wet sand with a block and everything and get all this stuff down to a very smooth surface, it would look pretty good when I was done. So, I mean, the one thing about silver, of course, is it'll tarnish, but, you know, if you're wearing it on your wrist, that's not really going to be that big of a deal. And if it wears through, you can just replate it again. I got this off of Amazon, I think. It wasn't terribly expensive.
And we're back.
Yes. Am I reading now?
Yes.
Jim Canatoro. How can you tell if these Arnie shrouds are original? Are there any markings?
There are no markings. Original Arnie shrouds, you can tell because the finishing on them is nice. Not just the sort of pebbled finish on the outside, but underneath as well. I don't know so much anymore, but when they first came out, the underneath, you could tell that the shrouds themselves were printed and done on a substrate, and when they were cut off of that substrate, you could see bubbles, like half hollow circles, little teeny tiny ones. Whereas Seiko's stuff was all injection molded. But yeah, no, they're not marked. Unfortunately, most of the ways that you can tell that it's an original shroud is if it's cracking into pieces, because that's what they do. I would rather have one of these new made shrouds that looks great, that I don't have to worry about, even if it has, you know, some marks from the substrate underneath it versus an original, which I'm terrified of touching because it'll just start spontaneously shattering. So I don't really think that it matters that much. For me, an original Arnie shroud is almost a liability. I have one on my Arnie, which is right over there, and part of the reason I don't ever wear it is because if I whack out on a doorknob, you never know.
Craig Adam. Hi, SNS. Firstly, apologies for not wishing you congratulations on your anniversary.
That's okay.
That's
You didn't have to do that, but thank you.
I took your advice and purchased a holder support from Vintage Time Australia for fitting my new second hand. I looked at my watch under a microscope and noticed that the center hand tube has become detached from the hand, as you can see that the tube resets to 12, but the hand moves every time. I have not touched the blue dial 6139 I have, as the face is original. I will keep it as is. Once again, thank you for a truly entertaining and informative channel.
Well, I hope so. On your hand, I know what you're talking about. We talk about the 6139 hands. We talk about the early and the late. The early being the two-piece hand with the little silver button in the middle, and the second being the one-piece hand. Well, that's kind of a misnomer, because the second generation hand is also two-piece, but it was never meant to be adjusted. You have seen what happens when that breaks loose, because you have the hand tube section and you have the hand section. What you can do with those, when it's doing that, and you know that the wheel is good and that the tube is resetting to 12, you get some inexpensive 2-part clear epoxy, and you mix up a tiny amount, like a teeny tiny pepper flake amount of that adhesive, a tiny amount of it, and you put it underneath the hands on the top and the bottom side of the tube, where the tube meets the hand like this, because you can see that the circle part there, it goes around. And so you basically put a tiny amount of that 2-part epoxy on there, and then make sure that it's where it needs to be, that epoxy that it's going to hold. And then you go and you set that hand to 12, exactly where you need it to be, and then walk away and let that cure, and that'll hold it. It's just, so the hand is not bad, you just need to secure it again. If you really want to go nuts on that, you can pull the hand and you get a staking set, and you can stake the hand and the tube back together a little more firmly. The danger there is it's very easy to damage the paint. And it's also, I've done this and it's heartbreaking, is you set the hand, you put it in your staking, and you set it again, and then you find that the tube moved. Well, you're doing that, and so you've now staked the hand, and it doesn't reset to 0 anymore. That's why I use the 2-step epoxy in that rare situation.
Popular Records. Hi, did not understand you well. What do I use to secure the new crystal in my 6138 3009?
Ideally, what you use is a glue that is a UV cure. It's a crystal clear optical cement that will stay liquid, not stuck, until it is exposed to UV light, like sunlight, outside light. So you put this stuff together, get a little bit of it, clean that thing, and put the UV cure inside the ring where the crystal is going to go. Make sure that's all nice and clean. Put that in there, and then with like a Rotico or something that'll hold the glass, you turn the glass in that ring to make sure you're evenly spreading that glue everywhere. And when you're satisfied with that, just go and put it outside for a couple of minutes, and the UV from the world will cure that. It's the same stuff that is used in doing optics, like binoculars and things, because when you have something that's complex, you're going to have all kinds of different shapes. You're going to have lens shapes and concave shapes and all these other stacked things together, and then you have to use this UV cure cement so that you don't have any distortions or bubbles or anything. That's the way that it works. What?
Nothing. I just got bored.
Because I'm talking about UV cure cement?
Yes.
But honey, optics.
I don't care.
I don't understand. This is the weird thing about girls, is they don't care about neat things. I don't know why. I've never understood it. I don't know why girls don't care about neat things.
Stop it. Y2K Tube. Hello SNS. You've mentioned in the past that lately you prefer exclusively to wear watches that have hand winding. Any kind of general rule out there for non-auto watches on how much a daily wear should be hand wound until the barrel spring clicks? If not, how many twists of the crown, etc.?
Well, it depends. If the watch is an automatic, like this, is a 6138, so it automatics and it hand winds. But Seiko is specifically meant for this to be primarily automatic, with the hand winding really only to kind of get it going. It's not robustly built to hand wind. Versus something like an ETA movement or something else like that that's also an automatic. Those are very robustly built, and you can wind those until your top of your head comes off. Something like this watch, which was from the wrist check, which is Landeron 248, which is hand wind only. The mainspring does not have a slipping bridle, so you can only wind it to a certain point and it's going to stop, and the end of that mainspring is going to lock into the barrel. So you have to be careful when it's manual wind only, but something like a Rolex automatic, you can wind endlessly. Something like anything like that, you just wind enough to get it going, then off to the races. When I'm wearing an all manual wind watch like this, I get up in the morning and I wind it until I can feel it getting a little tough, and then I stop.
Hang on, I have to yawn. Dean Denaire. I still have this watch in the Philippines that I bought in 1991 when I was in high school.
He's talking about the rare Tanloom 7002. They're great watches. So you bought one in high school in 91, the Tanloom 7002, and you still have it. Can you post a picture so I can see it? They're a cool variant. They're cool. I have some dials from those in my junk parts boxes, but I don't have another one. That watch specifically got sold almost immediately. And they're just hard to come by.
Okay, last one. Andrew Warner. Hi guys, a while back in the comments section, a dude suggested using a product made for restoring plastic card trim back to the original color on faded rotating rings on 6139s to see if it could restore the color. I think he was going to try it himself. Just wondered if he got back to you on how this went or if you tried it yourself.
He did get back to us. And so what this is talking about is the indicator rings on the 6139s, how the blacks fade to gray and how the yellows fade to pale yellow and then white. He was thinking he was going to use this bumper restore stuff you can get at AutoZone, and that it would let the original color come back through. He said it basically did not work. So he reported back, and I'm going to take him at face value. I wish something like that would work, but it just didn't. I don't know what to do about it. Anyway, that's it. It's Friday. It's pizza day. We have a ton of MG stuff. We're not going to deal with that now. So you non-MG people don't have to think about this. I'm going to make a separate video just for questions about the MG, and I'll put it on the MG channel and the MG playlist, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
And I'll listen to something else so I can get Kurt Vile out of my head. Mr. Vile, if you're watching this, I do love your music, but it's a different kind of energy than what we normally have, what I would like to feel when I'm doing a video.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Why are you apologizing? It's not your fault.
You
didn't make me play that song.
I don't know.
It's stuck in my head.
Well, I started listening to him the other day.
Doesn't matter. I listen to Kurt Vile all the time.
Bleh.
Either that or Alt J.
That's all I listen to.
Yeah, it's true. Her favorite. What's your favorite Alt J album?
Amazing Wave, the first one.
The really Amazing Wave. The first album is your favorite one.
Yep.
So Sabrina's favorite album is Amazing Wave by the English group Alt J. That's ALT dash J.
Yes.
On Monday, she's getting a vintage Marantz receiver.
And that's what's the first thing I'm going to put on it.
A Marantz 26 receiver with an with an audio acoustic research turntable. It's a acoustic research ES1 is your turntable, and those are both coming in on Monday. And then we're going to test out the speakers that we got with Dad's Telefunken, which are beautiful German made, but they're from 1960. And if they aren't any good, I have a set of Advent speakers queued up to purchase if those speakers don't do the job. And what I'll do with those speakers, I'll take those off the wall and I'll put them in Sebastian's room. Well, with that other one, someday he's going to want to listen to a stereo. He'll get the radio. What the hell? Okay?
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Friday. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk about MGs. Bye.